Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna. Hare Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram 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 Ram,
Get the other mic.
Krishna. Hare Ram Ram
This one doesn't work anymore.
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauranga.
Well, so I do. Are you here instead of...
No, they're coming.
Oh, they're coming tonight. Thanking you. The new reality. Anyone here for the first time?
You don't recognize us?
But I do have a new system now for making sure we never again forget the verse we're on.
Okay.
I'm going to make a little audio memo on here when we finish the class. Let's see if that helps. Let's see if this works. Hello? Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Patajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Patajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Mr. Bhagavad Paramahansa Bhagavadgita Ashtotra of the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BPT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Bhagavadgita Ashtotra of the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Now, it's almost certain that we're on text 10. Is it not? 5:10. Anyway, I'm pretty sure.
Let's see.
I definitely remember reading 8 and 9,
Yes, yes.
and not remember not reading
I
10.
think
So.
we read 10 also.
Oh no!
You said, let's do one more.
Oh really?
I think so.
The lotus leaf.
No,
Knit, right?
we didn't do that.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 On this 10th day of May 2017 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 5 entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, and we are in text 10, page 237. Brahmanyadhaya karmani
Brahmanyadaya karmani.
sangam chakva karoti yaha
Sangam chakva karotya.
lipyate nasapapena
Libyate nasapapena.
padmapatramivamsa
Padmapatram nivamasa.
Brahmanyadhaya karmani
Brahmanyadaya karmani.
sangam chakva karoti yaha
Sangam chakva karotya.
lipyate nasapapena
Libyate nasapapena.
padmapatramivamsa
Padmapatram nivamasa.
Brahmanyadhaya karmani
Brahmanyadaya karmani.
sangam chakva karoti yaha
Sangam chakva karotya.
lipyate nasapapena
Libyate nasapapena.
padmapatramivamsa
Padmapatram nivamasa.
Brahmanyadaya karmani
Brahmanyadhaya karmani
sangam chakva karotya
sangam chakva karoti yaha
lityatena sapapena
lipyate nasapapena
padmapatram vivamsa
padmapatramivamsa. Okay.
Brahmanyadaya karmani
Brahmanyadhaya karmani
sangam chakva karoti yaha
sangam chakva karoti yaha
libyatena sapapena
lipyate nasapapena
padmapatram nivamasa
padmapatramivamsa.
Oh, okay. Brahmanyadaya karmani.
Brahmanyadhaya karmani
Sangam chakra karotya.
sangam chakva karoti yaha lipyate nasapapena padmapatramivamsa. Brahmani unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Adhaya, resigning. Karmani, all works. Sangam, attachment. Chakva, giving up. Karoti, performs. Yaha, who. Lipyate, is affected. Na, never. Saha, he. Papena, by sin. Padmapatram, a lotus leaf. Eva, like. Ambasa, by the water. Translation. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Purport. Here, Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. The material world is a sum total manifestation of the three modes of material nature, technically called the Pradhan. The Vedic hymns Sarvam Yetad Brahma Mandukya Upanishad Tasmad Etad Brahma Nama Rupam Annam Chajayate Mundaka Upanishad 119 and in the Bhagavad Gita 14.3 Mama Yoni Mahabrahma indicate that everything in the material world is a manifestation of Brahman. And although the effects are differently manifested, they are non-different from the cause. In the Ishopanishad, it is said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman, or Krishna, and thus everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Krishna, that he is the proprietor of everything, and that therefore everything is engaged in the service of the Lord. Actually, it should say, and it does say now. And therefore everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord, naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even one's material body, being a gift of the Lord for carrying out a particular type of action, can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. It is then beyond contamination by sinful reactions, exactly as the lotus leaf, though remaining in the water, is not wet. The Lord also says in the Gita 3:30, Mahi sarvani karmani sannyasya, resign all works unto me, Krishna. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses. But a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, this Krishna is here speaking about how one can act in Krishna consciousness. That is the title of the chapter, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. And really, in all of these processes and activities and states of consciousness that we read about, we should realize that there's a spectrum. It's not just either you're Krishna conscious or you're totally in Maya. We have from experience that we can be Krishna conscious at one point in the day and we feel like, yeah, I'm pretty Krishna conscious. I'm absorbed in chanting the holy name. There's deities, I'm engaging in service. Beautiful. But then time goes on in the day and maybe, we become less Krishna conscious. We get distracted, our rounds are done, so we're not chanting anymore, although it's supposed to be chanting 24 hours a day. And then the modes of nature kick in a little bit and the mind does its thing, and we're not completely surrendering every action and every thought and every breath to the Supreme Lord. So, but when you read the Bhagavad Gita, you see ideas like this, verses like this abound. Like Prabhupada recalls the verse from the 3rd chapter. What's the text? 30. Mahi sarvani karmani sannyasyadatma cetasa nirashir namamovarvan yudhyasavakatadrila. That's the whole verse. And in the purport, Prabhupada begins the purport by saying this verse expresses the purpose of the whole Bhagavad Gita. I remember when I first read it, I said, well, this is a verse worth memorizing. It was one of the first verses I memorized. But think about what it means. Mahi sarvani karmani sannyasyadatma cetasa. What he's saying there, let's go back to 330. I think we all have books here, so I have this opportunity. Page 166. Sarva karmani, Maya sarvani karmani sannyasyadatma cetasa. So the first statement is that all your actions should be dedicated to me. And this is the platform of sannyas. This is true renunciation. And adhyatma cetasa, with full consciousness of the self. O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me. Here this word self, or Atman, the word Atma is there. We should know that means different things in different contexts. Atma can mean the mind, the intelligence, the individual self, or the super self. It can just mean Krishna. And in the 6th chapter, that we really learn that, where Krishna uses the word Atma, 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 and then before long he's using me, me, me. He's saying me. Think of me. The 6th chapter is all, it's all about bhakti, but it's bhakti in the mode of meditative yoga. So here then, nirashir. Nirashir, that's the next word. Without any hopes, without any desires for profit, for sense gratification. Welcome, Hare Krishna. Next darshan, 8:15. Okay. Nirmama, without the sense of any proprietorship. Nothing is mine. Dr. Chang set up a seat on his side. That's his side. Okay, that's the lady's side, basically. That's the lady's side. This is the men's side. But we're going to give you a seat and a book and a stand, so you can participate nicely. We have many books, many stands, many seats. Hare Krishna. Nirashir namamo, nothing is mine. That's not easy to say. I mean, can I even have my own clothes and my apartment and my car? I mean, I need those things for work. You know, I mean, this is a very, very radical prescription. And then he's saying, you just serve Arjuna, and you fight Arjuna, because that's his duty. So we can plug in anything that we do, our own prescribed duty there. And Vigata Jvara, now this is, it means without fever, or in this case, without being lethargic. In other words, this is very logical. I don't own anything. I can't enjoy any of the fruits of my work. And you expect me to work with enthusiasm? Maybe go through the motions, right? This comes up in the second chapter where Krishna says, Karma nevedikadaste, ma paleshu gadachana, ma karma palahetu bhur, ma te samgostu karma. So it says, you have a right to perform your duty. Oh, good, I got a job. Karma ma paleshu, but you can't enjoy the fruits. No salary. Sorry. Ma paleshu gadachana. Ma karma palahetu. And don't think, well, maybe I can take pride in my work at least, that I created this thing or I did some work. No. Don't think of yourself as the cause of the action. Understand that I've given you everything. I've given you the intelligence, the materials, your own body. So how can you take credit? So you can't take credit. You can't enjoy the fruits. And then to clinch it, he says, and don't be attached to not doing your duty, because he knows that in that kind of situation, you're not going to act very enthusiastically. It's like the philosophy of communism was the way I learned it when I was a kid in the 50s and 60s. Yeah, I was trained as a communist, believe it or not, my father. And so he'd read to me Das Kapital in the evening, in translation, of course. And the theme was, I don't remember much about it, but I remember the motto, from each according to his ability and to each according to his needs. And that sounded like the ideal. You know, none of this oppression where the slaves or the workers don't get paid enough or they exploit you. You know, you get what you need to live comfortably, and everyone will work according to his abilities, and everything will be fine. Because everyone has different abilities. I mean, the idea is it's like Varnashram, right? Varna is created. Some have real intelligence, some work with their hands, some are natural leaders, they have charisma. You know, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, some whatever they turns to gold. We had a devotee living here once, Sunarma. He was reinitiated, right? And he was very good at business. You know, he could turn any business. You know, when he was a devotee, he was helping the temple. He was a brahmachari. Well, so that's a natural Vaishya. See? So we'll do what we need to do. You know, what we like to do, what we have the aptitude to do, and then we'll get what we need. And this is the ideal situation. We just have to curb that capitalist class. That was it. But it doesn't work that way. Because, as Krishna says in the third chapter, material desire is never satisfied and it burns like fire. Nobody is satisfied just with what they need. And the people who are ready to exploit you, they're very skilled at creating unnecessary needs, false needs. Do we really need the Galaxy 8 and the iPad, the iPhone 7, 8, whatever it is? Wasn't the other? Like they have this whole thing now with the. I was reading this article. Windows must die. I need Windows. I use Windows for my service all the time, but I have all these legacy programs. You know, I've been using this one file manager for like 20 years. I don't know how it still works, but I don't know how it still works. So, but these are they're not good for security, you know, because it's all this. But I know from experience that if you upgrade the iPhone or the iPad, I had this iPod, they upgraded, then some of the apps didn't work anymore. They want you to buy new apps, you know, like all this. So the idea is that by the natural tendency in the material world, the conditioned soul, that you have certain desires and needs. And to go against that grain, so much in the Bhagavad Gita goes against it. Just like the verse we're reading today, what was it, 5:10? Brahman Yadaya Karmani means to give over to Brahman, which Prabhupada says in the first sentence of the paragraph. That's Krishna, right? Here, Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. To give everything over to Krishna. And what is the next phrase? Sangam Chakva Karoti, giving up attachment. Well, that's not so easy to give up attachment. If you're attached, you're attached. You know. Then you'll be floating along like the lotus leaf. You won't be affected. Well, that sounds pretty good, but I don't know how can I give up this attachment. So the idea here is that by practicing Krishna consciousness, now we know from experience, devotees who chant Hare Krishna and take part, that process itself, Krishna goes in your heart, he is able to diminish these attachments. It's not something you're doing even voluntarily. What you're doing is doing those things that don't fire up the attachment. In other words, staying aloof, especially the gross things like drugs and so forth. You know, that you have to give up. Well, for someone who's really into drugs, it's like an impossible situation. Unless you come into the association of devotees, get into service, and especially chanting the holy name and hearing it regularly and for a long time during the day with devotees. In other words, exactly what Prabhupada did when he came to America and the Hare Krishna movement. And believe it or not, somehow miraculously you become attached to Krishna because you're being exposed to Krishna in full through the sound vibration. And that's the only way that any of these verses can make sense to us. Because one can see, yes, if you give over the fruits of your action to Krishna. And we see, like we had this festival yesterday. So what happened? Everybody got together, right? And it's in honor of Lord Nrsingadev. And I think many devotees have a real warm place in the heart for Lord Nrsingadev because there's that aspect of protection, you know, and power, and, you know. And he's a favorite amongst devotees. And Lord Nrsingadev, he does protect. And there's the Nrsinga Kavacha, which many devotees learned. Which have you ever wondered what Yudhishthira has all on his arm there? That's the Nrsinga Kavacha in Sanskrit. He had the whole thing tattooed on there. Because if you read it and you chant it, it talks about protecting you from disease also, and enemies and all these different things. And but for devotees, serious devotees, you pray to Lord Nrsingadev. Now you pray to Lord Nrsingadev for protection of your spiritual master and for Krishna and for the temple and all these different things. But really, the main prayer of devotees to Nrsingadev is to protect you from material desire. And there's many prayers like that. And the idea of him killing Hiranyakashipu, that's also killing within our hearts the demonic tendency. What does Hiranyakashipu mean? It means gold and soft bedding, and as Prabhupada famously said, the bed companion. So this is the sex and money. This is like so prominent. Lust and greed, kama and lobha. This is two of the three gates leading to hell, Krishna says in the 16th chapter. He says, Trivadham, Nadakasedam, Dwaram Nashanavatamana, Kama, Krodhas, Tata Lobhas, Tasmat Etam, Trayam Chajit. He says there's three gates leading to hell. He just described the hellish destination of demons who he eventually cast down to lower species like that. That's the hellish existence. He says there's three gates leading to this hell. Lust, anger, and greed. The wise soul gives these up, for they degrade the soul. Now what does he do? Etava mukta kontaya tamo dvaras tibiyanaha achayat yatmanakshaya sotoyati padankatim. Here he's giving a very, very wonderful lesson at the end of 16th chapter, which was reviewing. Those who have escaped these three gates, what do? They act only for their own elevation. Achayat atmanakshayas. Here's that word shreyas. You notice how it comes up again and again. Shreya means your real welfare. Sometimes it's dikshreya, means your ultimate good. And then tatoyati parangatim, and they go to the final destination. So here's a stark contrast. Those who are allowing themselves to fall into the, push through the gates of lust, anger, and greed, they suffer like anything in a hellish existence. On the other hand, those who can escape these gates, they act for their own elevation and they go to the Supreme. Then he says, it's up to us. It's up to us. Those who disregard. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Yeah, you can come in. Just get some seats here. I'm going to let him sit over here. Yeah, you can sit inside. Let's get a class, college?
Yes, we're here for one of my religion
I
classes.
figured so.
Sorry for
Not a problem, not a problem. Just take a book, and we have another book. And a seat. You can both have books. You sit there. And, yeah. We're on page 237. 237. So, Krishna says, those who discard or disregard the injunctions of the scripture and simply act on the impulses of kama, or material desire, then they can't achieve happiness, they can't achieve perfection, and they can't achieve the ultimate goal, the kingdom of God. So this is up to us. Are we going to consult the Shastra, come to Bhagavad Gita class, and try to imbibe this instruction and live by it, and thereby pave the way, hopefully in one lifetime, to achieve perfection? Or are we going to discard it, forget it? And you have to act according to some impulse. And then we must act according to the material desires in our heart. And so then he says at the end, this is the end of the 16th chapter, I'm just reviewing it. So, therefore, tasmat, there's a little argument there. Therefore, tasmat shastram pramanam te karya karya devastito. One should consult scripture, Bhagavad Gita, concerning what one should do and what one should refrain from doing. Our whole life, when you think about it, is simply doing one thing and not another. Whatever you decide to do, that's it. You're not doing this other thing. But equally important is not doing things. So he says, what to do, that's much karya, akarya, what to do and what not to do. And understanding, having consulted and learned what to do, one should actually act in that way. He's not letting us off the hook. You can't just read the Shastra, you consult it, now you imbibe it, take it into your heart, and act that way and refrain from acting. So now here Krishna says the benefits in text 10. One who gives over the fruits of his activities to Brahmani, which is Krishna, and gives up attachment, tyaktva sangam takva karotiya. He floats along in this world like a lotus leaf. In other words, you remain aloof from the vicissitudes and the swings and the difficulties of this world. Because, as mentioned in the previous two verses, you're in a platform where you can look at the body and you look at the activity and you say, this is not me. The whole previous two verses, when you're speaking, when you're opening and drinking some water, you realize, oh, this is the senses engaged in the sense object, but I'm aloof. This is the actual reality. The soul is the verses asangam, asango yayam purusha. This is from the Upanishads. Asanga here means no attachment or no association. The purusha, in this case, means the living entity, ultimately does not mix with the material energy. We are categorically different. As spirit and matter are two different energies. They don't mix. But we can become closely associated with matter, as we are now with our material body, and completely identify with it and forget entirely our spiritual nature. So Krishna consciousness, led by the Bhagavad Gita, is a process of reversing that and coming again to our awareness of our pure spiritual nature. And not just awareness, but acting in that awareness as part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit, of the Supreme Person. And this chapter is teaching us how to act. Karma Yoga means activity in Krishna consciousness in such a way, two preliminary benefits. The ultimate benefit is always there, the great shining jewel that we're looking for. Pure love for Krishna. Not even going back to Godhead, but pure love for Krishna. which means associating with God at every moment, and also in a loving relationship, and feeling the reciprocation from it. It's not a one-way street. If God is unlimited, He can have unlimited intimate relationships. We can't. This is one of the attraction of Facebook, giving the illusion that you can have so many different relationships, when really they're very, very superficial. But there's nothing superficial about a relationship with Krishna. It's as deep as it can possibly be, eternal. So that's what we're looking for. But there are so many preliminary benefits, one of which is you can live in this world very peacefully without anxiety. This whole lipite nasapapena, padmapatram vivamvasa. Your nasapapena means without suffering any sinful reactions. We don't even realize it. That when you get born, you're carrying forward from previous life and lives the result of activities that you've done. And since we live in an age when there's hardly any basic instruction or training, we're sure to have committed all kinds of sins, even unknowingly, in a previous life. And those we have to pay for in this life. And so there's all of this papa that we're carrying forward. But here he says, napapena, nasapapena. It's all relieved, it's wiped away, the slate is wiped clean when you surrender to Krishna and you're acting simply on His behalf. So this is a tremendous benefit. It means that the suffering is diminished to practically nil in this life. So this is what is being spoken of here, and it's not something that you can just decide to do. It's something that you have to train to do. You can decide to enter into the training, but to have 24 hours a day to give the fruits of your activity and your consciousness and to Krishna is not so easy. But Lordji, if you just follow this one program of chanting nicely and learning how to chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, it becomes possible. The mind becomes clear, the heart becomes purified, and it becomes feasible to actually act that way. This was Prabhupada's great miracle. I was just reading some of the Prabhupada Lilamrita. There's a wonderful biography written about our founder, whose statue is behind us. He's passed away now, it's almost 40 years. 40 years in November that he passed away. But the 12 years, the last 12 years of his life are like it's miraculous. He came, adventure. He came to America with literally nothing. He had 20 rupees in his pocket. It's like, I think that was when the rupee was really worth something, 12.5 cents. Now it's worth less than 2 cents. The rupee is big. But okay, so what is that? $5? It's not much. And he had no real contacts. He had one person he could stay with for a few weeks, and that was it. So all he had really was his faith in Krishna and the instruction of his spiritual master or guru, and he had Krishna in his heart. And so he was never discouraged, even though so many things happened. He got robbed. He was living in this little office in Manhattan. He's a Bengali gentleman from India. The weather is like much warmer, and he comes to New York in September, and it gets very cold. I grew up in Manhattan, and this was one of the coldest winters. And there he is. He had an overcoat, but it was just really difficult. And so he ends up living in this little office without a proper kitchen or anything. He had to walk a block in the snow in the winter just to cook his meals. And he got robbed when he was out. These things. So finally he said, well, he didn't want to stay there, so he had some friends. He went down to the Bowery. Now, anyone who grew up in there knows what the Bowery is. The Bowery is, now we have all the homeless people, and it's kind of distressing to see them. In those days, you wouldn't see that on any streets, but they would all go to New York to the Bowery. That's where they would go there, where they could be tolerated, the transients and so that's where he ended up. He living in the loft on the Bowery, and he had to walk over the drunks and everything. So he's living like that. And that was like mid-1966. before he started everything. So what sustained him? You know, how could someone do that? It wasn't for money he came. He was already 69. He was living in a very holy place. And it could have easily just kept chanting Hare Krishna, gone to the temple and passed away, you know, very peacefully. But he had this instruction from his guru to preach in English and to preach outside of India. And he had gotten that, you know, 40 years earlier or more, when he was 1920, when he was about 22 years old or so. So anyway, he tried his best, and somehow or other, by this mantra, chanting and spreading this mantra and teaching from this book, Bhagavad Gita, he was able to attract some followers who seriously began the process, and they became purified. And they were able to taste the bliss of Krishna consciousness and give up. This is the middle of the hippie days, 1960s. You know, LSD was everywhere, and drugs, and they would give that up. And the free sex and all that, give it all up. But they weren't suffering, because they were experiencing the nectar of Krishna consciousness. So then this verse makes all kinds of sense. You perform your duty without attachment. Okay, you know, cleaning the temple, I'm not getting paid. It's for Krishna. Look how blissful he looks. You know, this deity, you see, we'll see if you open, this is a good thing for the school to see the deity worship, because this is quite mysterious. But you can feel the reciprocation. It's a higher kind of pleasure. It's real. And you certainly feel a lack of anxiety. You know, isn't that a valuable thing? Give up anxiety and just be happy. So it all becomes possible, but without the discipline of bhakti centered on Hare Krishna, it's totally theoretical. There's no way in the world. I mean, you can think about it, you can study it, but to actually do it, Sangam Tyakva Karoti, to give up all attachment and to give all of the fruits of your labor to the Supreme Lord. Not easy. But that's what Krishna says it takes. Well, it's still not easy, but it's possible by the process of Krishna consciousness centered on the chanting of the holy name. Okay, I've harangued you long enough. Any questions, comments on these things? Okay, let's go on. Text 11. Now, if you want, you can join us in the Sanskrit or follow along. This is on page 238. Kaina manasa buddha kevalar indriyarapi yogina karma kurvanti sangam chakvatma shuddhaye. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. Purport: when one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of Krishna, any action, whether of the body, mind, intelligence, or even the senses, is purified of material contamination. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of a Krishna conscious person. Therefore, purified activities, which are generally called sadachar, can be easily performed by acting in Krishna consciousness. Sri Rupa Goswami, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 187, describes this as follows: Iha yasya hare dasye karmana manasagira nikala svapyavasthasu jivan mukta sauchite. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. He has no false ego, for he does not believe that he is this material body, or that he possesses the body. He knows that he is not this body, and that this body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna, and the body too belongs to Krishna. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possession, to Krishna's service, he is at once dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of the false ego that leads one to believe that he is the body, etc. That is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. So this idea of acting for purification, this always reminds me of this verse from by Lord Rishabdev, where he talks to his sons about the need for restraining the senses and performing tapasya. Tapasya means, literally from the word tapa, it means to burn. And it's kind of like purification. We have this idea of refining gold. Gold is in the wild is mixed with other things, and you melt it and you do a certain process and you get out the pure gold. And then it's 99.9% pure, right? It's more valuable per ounce. So that idea of purification through heat, or purification through tapasya, which is a difficulty that you voluntarily take on for purification. That's central to any process of yoga. Because the whole process is one of purification. According to the philosophy, according to Bhagavad Gita, we're originally Krishna conscious beings. We're originally Satchit Ananda. This is who we really are. We're eternal. We're not eternal in these bodies. Right? We're all faced with old age, disease, and death. But we're also faced with rebirth. That's the beginning lesson. Jatasya hi dhruva mrityu. Who can argue with that? Whatever is born must die. Does anyone argue with that? But the next line is not so obvious. Dhruvam janma matasya. Whatever is dead will also be reborn. That's not so clear. But that's what we get from the Shastra. So, we don't belong with this. This is artificial. This birth and the growth and the change and all of this passage of time and old age. It's no picnic, believe me. And eventually, non-existence. We're faced with we don't know with the great mystery. Or you can imagine that anxiety. And then again, and again. This is the round of samsara. The great sages that all realize this and told us. So this is not where we belong. This is artificial. We are Satchit Ananda. We are eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge, as Krishna is. This is Lord Brahma's statement. He's describing Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Govinda Savakarna Karanam. Like the whole movement, the whole philosophy is based on this verse practically. The supreme Ishvara controller is Krishna. He has a form. He's not formless. Vigraha has a body with senses, which is Satchit Ananda. Eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss. We can't even really conceive of what that is right now. But it's not what we have now. Now we're Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. We're certainly not eternal, and we're certainly not completely full of knowledge. We can't even see what's outside the door here. And as far as Ananda, bliss, we know sometimes we feel a little pleasure, but it's not unending, ever-expanding Ananda. No. So, but that's where we belong. It's because we're part and parcel of Krishna. This is a very important point. We're obviously different from God. Has anyone here created a universe lately? No. So we're not God. But we're also one with Him in quality. This is the thing. Just like the drop of, we have this big ocean out here. So you can take a little vial of like a couple of ounces, and it'll be a sample. And just like you have the ocean tastes salty, the water in that vial will taste salty. It will have a minute amount of the minerals and things that are in there. There's all kinds of things. There's gold in there too, dissolved. Not enough to really make a difference, but so it's a sample. So no one would argue that the little vial of water is the ocean. But it's, in one sense, qualitatively one with the ocean. So we're qualitatively one with God and quantitatively different. This is called a Chincha Bheda Abheda Tattva. Inconceivably, simultaneously one and different from God. And everything really is. So in one sense, everything is God because it's His energy. Just like you walk out in the sunshine, you say, oh, I got some sun today. You didn't say, yeah, you got some sunshine. You didn't get the sun in your pocket, the real sun. So it's but the energy, the heat and light of the sunshine is a sample real small sample of what's there in the sun. All that light and all that incredible infinite heat. So similarly, God is infinite. But He's not just infinitely powerful, He's also infinitely beautiful. He's also infinitely attractive. we should know that anything attractive in this world, anything impressive and powerful in this world, just springs from a spark of the splendor of the Supreme Lord, as he says in the 10th chapter. So what is it about, that we get attracted to other people, right? We know about that. But really what is attracting us? It's not this body. I mean, no one's attracted to a bag of bones. That's not what's attractive. It's the spiritual spark. It's the reflection of Krishna in there that's coming through that, through a glass sparkly, that is attractive to some degree, for some time. Isn't it? That's what's attractive. So imagine, forget about the matter, no more matter, spirit to spirit. To see Krishna, the supreme spiritual person, in his infinite beauty and attractiveness with our spiritual eyes, and to be able to hear the spiritual sound. That's what we're trying to get back to. That's where we came from. So it's all a question of purification. That's why this verse says, whatever the yogi, bhakti yogi does, what do we act with? The body, the senses, the mind, intelligence. This is where we act. So the real yogi, he's always acting for purification. And what's the result of the purification? So Rishabdev says, and he says, Nayam deho deha bhajan yaloke krishtam kamanadatevi bhujante. Having achieved this human form of life, don't act just like animals for sense gratification. He's saying this to his sons. This is his final instruction, then he's going to go off and become a monk. So what's the alternative? Tapodyavyam putraka, our sons, practice tapasya, according to the instructions, which is divya. Divya means what? It's the same word in English. Divine. In other words, sacred, holy austerity. There's also austerity for demonic austerity. Tantra, this is in India. There's the black arts. That's also there. Everything you find in India. There's a dark side. Anything you want to accomplish in this world, you have to perform some austerity. Getting a degree in college, that's an austerity. Sometimes you'd rather party, right? But you have to study. You may not have been spontaneously attracted to come to the Hare Krishna temple, but it's part of the course, so okay. This is austerity. I went to school, I know what it was taking, all-nighters and things. Because there you graduate, you get the diploma, you get the degree, that's the gold pot at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. So anything requires austerity. So this austerity is geared toward purification of oneself. So it says, Tapo divyam putaka, yena sattvam shuddhye. The word shuddhya is here in the verse, right? Shuddhi, the last word in this verse, shuddhi. So he says, okay, Tapo divyam putraka, O sons, yena sattvam shuddhye, by which you will purify your existence. You see? And what's the advantage of that? Yasmad Brahma Saukyam Tonantam. Then you can enjoy, you come to the point eventually of enjoying Brahma Sukha, spiritual happiness, which is Anantam, doesn't end. Notice how all the pleasures end in the material world? You aspire for something, maybe you get the money to buy it, or you put yourself in a position to enjoy it, but it ends. And what are you left with? The desire for it again. So either you're hankering now, or you're lamenting because you can't achieve it anymore. Or you achieved it and it didn't meet your expectations. How often does that happen? How many people have saved for years and made the pilgrimage from Kansas to Disneyland? Or the other side, Disney World in Orlando. I used to live in Florida too. I lived in LA for 4 years, never went to Disneyland. I lived in Miami for 6 years, never went to Disney World, and I didn't miss anything. Anyway, but here, okay. And finally they make the pilgrimage. They get into the RV, they take the 4 kids or whatever it is, they make their way to Disneyland. Save the money, it's so expensive to get. And does it ever really meet the expectations? Or do you just fool yourself to think, like Facebook, right? Everyone puts their best face forward on Facebook, right? Isn't it like all happy talk and everything? Oh, these are the best pictures, I was best. But what about the rest of your life, That's not really you. So everyone is putting this false face forward. So that's what material life is. It's a promise that is never kept. It's never kept. Everybody is disappointed ultimately. I mean, even if everything goes right, and eventually time happens. And Krishna says, sorry, Mrityu Sarvaharashchaham, as death I take it all away. Everything, including your body, your precious body. So where is there any lasting? Amantam, Brahmasalkam, but spiritual happiness continues on forever, because it's based on the eternal soul rather than the temporary senses in the body. So that's the promise of wholesome, divine austerity, which you have to take on in order to become advanced in the devotional service of Krishna consciousness. Yes, it's a challenge, but that's what it takes. Otherwise, come back again. Try again. That's also there. Okay, any final questions or comments? We'll pick up. Where's my little recorder? Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay. I'm going to make a little memo here. We're starting on text 12. Begin text 12 on Monday. There you go. Can't be enough. Okay, we have a minute or two. We're going to read, not from Krishna book, but we'll read a poem or two. Uplifting poem. So Krishna consciousness is filled with poetry. Bhagavad Gita, it's a song, the Sanskrit. You may have heard, figured it's got a beat to it, the sound. And Srimad Bhagavatam, there's even more wonderful poetry there. So, but it's all in Sanskrit, so I thought, well, maybe I should try writing a little English, see if we could. And that's how these things came about. Where is it? Okay. Okay. So this is a nice prayer. You may have heard it before. Ever fresh. This is good. Some of the greatest devotees are ladies, wonderful ladies such as Queen Kunti. And Queen Kunti has these beautiful prayers to Krishna just before he's ready to return to his kingdom. Actually, she knows she won't see him again. So all her life she was and is a devotee of Krishna. So she's praying at the end of her prayers like this. She says, Tvaime nandi vishaya mati modupate sukrit ratamun mahataradha gange bhavavadandati. Oh, Madhava is another name for Krishna. Oh, Madhava, please ever fill my mind with thoughts of thee, not any other kind. As Ganges torrent flows into the sea, let all my love flow constantly to thee. Now, you can pray to God for anything. And many people pray for material things. Health is a common prayer. Wealth, I need to pay my mortgage and also my rent. But this is the real prayer for the devotee. We pray for love, for constant remembrance. And here's another prayer. Manasita panigushte labdapatos dushte timadagahana rupe handa samsara kupe Achitananikala rakshahi namundara rakshanupanayama mahaste bhakti rajun namaste. So this the word used for Krishna is Ajita, means he who cannot be conquered, unconquerable Lord. So here it comes out, his strength is ne'er in doubt. That's it. Oh, fallen in the deep and dark and dirty well of Maya. Maya is illusion, this illusory world. Fallen in this deep and dark and dirty well of Maya, threatened by the snake of lust, whose venom burns like fire. Helplessly I pray, O Lord, whose strength is ne'er in doubt. Place the rope of bhakti in my heart and pull me out. This dark well, we can't get out on our own, we need help. And that help comes from Krishna, through the medium of the spiritual master, the Guru. So the rope of bhakti is all of those media by which Krishna reaches out to us. The holy name, the Guru, the prasadam, the devotees, everything. But we have to hold on to the rope. That's our job. Okay, here's one more. Oh no, here's a nice prayer. Rupa Goswami writes, now it's the culture, the Chataka, is a kind of bird in the Vedic culture, named the Chataka. He flies and he only drinks water that comes from the cloud. He's very, very picky about the water he drinks. He just wants it finely distilled water from the cloud. So he compares himself to a Chartaka. Vidachahimai dandam di nabando dayam va katanihinda babakta kasa dunyamasti nipatatashatakoti nirvalam bandhavan was tatavakipaviko studiyate Chartakena. The Chartaka subsists on rain it catches in midair, and so is always praying to the cloud to send its fare. Yet though the cloud may send a thunderbolt instead of rain, that bird continues praying fervently despite the pain. Just like the Chartaka, I fix my mind upon one goal, and that is you, O Lord, most kind to every fallen soul. So whether it is punishment you send, or mercy sweet, I'll always pray to you for service to your lotus feet. Here, Swami heard that, he wanted me to send it to him. So these are a few prayers that I wrote when I had the poetic muse. Try to get back to that muse. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, now we're going to, the next phase is you'll see these curtains open, and you'll see the deity forms will have some chanting. You're welcome to stay. And if you like, at the end of that, we have a little transcendental vegetarian food for free. Good. That's part of it. Prasadam. The Lord's Praise. Oh.
I remember getting ready to they never last. I need to get a real security with them. Yeah, or like a burlap sack. I need a sack one burlap sack. It's like made out of spider material. I think Marquis snatched it, but it's made for cold weather. It's got it's got the thing where the finger that sticks out is like covered. Yeah, I've seen Russian devotees use that. Yeah. From Russia, they always walk around.
Yeah, there's a lot of sugar boxes. People are afraid of not coming. What the Sringer Day will do. That's why we had such a big crowd. But now it's going to be
Protection.
a huge crowd for Tuesday night.
It was pretty big.
It was big. It was huge.
I think we steered.
We had a lot more last night than we were on Sunday.
Yeah, or we were praying.
They were praying.
I think we had a thing for
Even go for an
yeah, we had a few devotees by the end, but not many. Oh yeah.
That's obviously very exciting.
I think it's the same. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, where's the other one?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I run the account, so I don't. You put it in the video.
Maybe, yeah. Thanks, John.
Were you here? But you're right. I was looking for that raven. God.
I'm lamer than you.
Ready? You making that noise on the side. So everybody, not faster on the basket. Krishna don't. I've never had it actually. I've never had it. Hardly anyone ever do Krishna. Maybe. I'm thinking. You know, when I just come by the temple, I never get.
Good to see you.
Maybe I did. I don't know. It's a little brave. Oh, wow.
Shri Gaurata ki jai. Shri Radha ki Dhari. Jai Jagannath Baladev.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Gauravani Prajarine Anirishesha Shunyamari Ashachari Satarine Namaste Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jai Shri Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Giri Hari Jai. Jai Om Ishtapat Paramahansa. Dravida
The Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhu. ISKCON Divinity Founder Church, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Ishtapat Paramahansa. The Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Nama Church, Srila Krishna Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Ghoshi Krishna Chaitanya Bhavanityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadha Shiva Sadigo Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakant Radhakuram Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadik Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. And Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gam Gami ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Transcendental distribution ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveda Bhakti. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and all glory to Sri Guru.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Aladha Aladayane.
Praladayane.
Hiranyakashipo Vakshaha. Ashilakankadakalaye. Doshinga paritoshingo. Yato yato yamitato shinha. Mahir shingo rinaye nishingo. Nrsimhanadi sharanam prapaje. Karakamalavare nakam adhuta shinga. Karitayirannakashipu tanumrika. Vita narirupa jai Jagadisha Re. Jai Jagadisha Re. Jai Jagadisha Re. Karakamalavare. Karakamalavare Nakamadashinga Nalitayirannakashipu Tanumrika Vita Harirupa Jai Jagadisha Re. Jai Jagadisha Re. Jai Jagadisha Re. Karakamalavare Nakamadashinga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Shri Radha Hari Ki Jai.
You put away all the other stuff.
Curd steak.
Hey. Yes, the second is
Really nice. Fish steak. Paneer. 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 Andor paneer. Paneer. Oh,
last night.
oh, I like paneer. You get first choice? No. You get
Regular.
oh yeah. You get Malpura?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh.
So,
Psychic.
3 months? 6 months?
And then he's coming right back in 6 months. Not just vice president, full president and vice president at the same time.
6 months?
Yeah.
So, January, yeah?
Something like that. Something like December. 6 months is actually November.
November.
I have to leave after 6 months somewhere. Oh yeah, 6 months leave. You might just go to Nepal, come back. Go to a particular key.
Yeah.
Or you could visit True Festival again.
Next month, Suki.
Suki, tell president. Suki? No. Suki?
Yeah.
Suki?
Yeah.
Don't take credit for that. Wait, has he been in prison before? No, that was an interview. You never know, he could up and leave tomorrow and surprise us.
Yeah.
I would have been able to go. I'm flying on Friday.
What day? LA?
No, SanDiego.
SanDiego.
Oh yeah, I'm starting a trip tomorrow. Okay.
Dravida.
May or may not. Yes.
So,
I don't think it's sure. I need someone here to watch pods.
Which island?
Originally,
Which
I'm
island?
gonna use you to say it back because I only got you and Marquise. That's it. Larry Scott. Yeah, Larry Scott.
Local David. Which island?
Yeah.
What? Which island?
Southwest.
Southwest. How? Southwest.
Not go there.
I'm going to Miami.
I fly Sri Lanka.
Miami.
Yeah.
And then
Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka.
Oh, chill.
I fly to Qatar, then I go to Sri Lanka, then I go to Bhagavad. You go to see Ravan. How do you put Ravan? How do you put Dhanavat Pranam Ravan?
Yeah.
मेरा नाम अशोक रामदास
Yeah, but it's great.
आप क्या कर रहे हो?
Really
Fired up after. After Krishna Bhagavad.
This material desire for which becomes anger.
You, honey,
It takes place in the